on there. So let's get there. Joining me now, Republican Senator from Idaho, James Risch. He, of course, sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Kate. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Your reaction, Senator, to the president's strike on Syria last night?
Well, first of all, I think that this has demonstrated for us as Americans and for the world that this president is committed and that he's not afraid to act. I think the big story here is that this is going to have impact worldwide. I absolutely guarantee you that today in North Korea, in Iran, in Moscow, and for that matter in Beijing, there are people sitting around a table saying, you know, it's time we recalibrated what the status of the United States is and what they are willing to do when they think they need to do the right thing.
Senator, does the president need to come to Congress to get approval for any further military action?
You know, Kate, we haven't passed an authorization for the use of military force since 2001 and 2002.
That's right.
I've been on groups where we've tried to negotiate it. We've seen the president ask for it. You can get a battalion of lawyers on each side of this issue as to whether he needs to do that or not, and they'll take you so deep in the weeds you'll never find your way out. There's a couple of ways to do. Well, personally, I would rather have an AUMF by Congress. But I guarantee you, if yesterday morning when President Trump made up his mind he was going to do this, he came to Congress and said, this is what I'd like to do. I want to take out one airfield, and this is how I'm going to go about it. We'd still be talking about it at Christmas time. So there are reasons.
Some say that's the point, that Congress debates it, brings the American public into it. Before any big military action. That's why you want to debate it before you go to war.
Very legitimate argument. If you're going to enter into a world war that's going to go on for years, that absolutely needs to be done. If you're going to do a kinetic surgical strike, they passed the War Powers Act that allowed the president to do this for 60 days. Now, you can argue whether that's right or wrong, but that's the state of play. But you're right. I mean, the founding fathers wisely said, look, the first branch of government, the civilian branch of government, are the ones that are going to make this decision. That's the way the founding fathers set it up. Over years, that is deteriorated. In recent years, right or wrong, in recent years, presidents from both parties have used the War Powers Act.
Where we are now, if President Trump would make a request to Congress, an AUMF, as we call it, if it was the same one that President Obama sent over in 2013, would you support it now?
Well, it would depend upon their explanation of it. A lot of this has to do with the confidence that you have in the commander-in-chief. When this is done, they don't just send it over and say, here it is. They got to come in and defend it. We cross-examine it, cross-examine them. We spent hours and hours and hours working with the prior administration on what their strategy was in Syria. And as you know, that request didn't pass, really got short shrift because there were not people who had confidence in the plans going forward.
And
right now,
no
obviously,
you voted no on it.
I was not, after listening to their explanation of what they were going to do and how they were going to execute this. Look, my conscience said, we're not going to do this. And yes, I did vote no on this. Right on that. Right now, there are discussions going on with the present administration as to what this means, how we're going forward. And obviously, I'm going to keep an open mind, and we'll negotiate with them in good faith and see if we can't get to a point. But again, Kate, I come back to, the big story here is this is going to cause a real recalibration of how other countries view the state of play on the surface of this planet.
And it's also caused a recalibration within the president, it seems. I mean, the president says that the images of those dead children over there, it changed his mind on Syria. You support his response and how he responded to it. Does it also change your mind on those same children coming to the United States as refugees?
Well, certainly those pictures of the kids that were being that had chemical weapons all applied to them is a bad deal. It can't help but influence you. When it comes to the refugee process, America has always taken refugees. We will continue to take refugees. Obviously, how the refugees are vetted is a matter of discussion and certainly a matter of negotiation between all parties involved in this. But that we're always going to have refugees here in America.
Well, not necessarily. If it was according to the original travel ban coming from President Trump, that was going to ban refugees coming from Syria. That's why it's obviously a question.
Yeah. On a temporary basis, that's true. While they refine the vetting process. And I have been a strong advocate for redoing the vetting process. The vetting process was not a good process. You had all these administration people running around saying, oh, we do this extreme vetting. I sit on Intelligence Committee. I can tell you that was not the case. And it needed to be revamped. It's in the process of being revamped, and we'll see where that goes.
Well, since you, of course, as you mentioned, are on the Intelligence Committee, I do want to get your reaction to House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes stepping aside temporarily from the Russia investigation as as House Speaker Paul Ryan says, it's become a distraction, everything that's gone on over there. Do you think that's a smart move?
Appropriate.
I'll take that. Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate your time.
All right. Good to be with you this morning.
And brevity, that's impossible. We don't do that on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much, Senator. Coming up for us, 59 Tomahawk missiles.